Shanti. Practice being in the stage of soul consciousness. Become introverted. Soul consciousness in the gathering. When an atom bomb explodes somewhere, its radiation spreads over everyone. That is an atom bomb, and this is a soul conscious bomb. Its influence will attract many souls, and the number of people coming will easily increase. Therefore, increase the practice of soul consciousness in the gathering. Become an embodiment of awareness, and the atmosphere will become powerful. Om Shanti.
Om Shanti. Welcome to Avikti Parivar. So today is day 30 and today we have a big fortune to have our two Didis together. So Mohini Didi and Jayanti Didi. So after we will do the series sharing by Didi, Mohini Didi, and then in chit chat we will have both Didis together. And today's chit chat will be a little bit different because it won't be question and answer type, but it's going to be sweet conversation between two Didis, and we will be just enjoying them, talking to each other as we always used to do, seeing Dadis. So today we will see our Didis together. So today is day 30, practice being in the stage of soul consciousness. Become introverted. Today's topic, soul consciousness in the gathering. So now we will listen to Mohini Didi and then we will have chit chat with both Didis.
Om Shanti. Is everyone okay? Avyakti Parivar? Yes, everyone is okay here. Very good. Baba has taught us to remain okay, right? So we are always okay. One is solitude, other is isolation. One can be in solitude even sitting in the gathering. I have seen some, they feel that they can have more concentration, they can have good yoga if they are alone. Right? So they choose to be mostly in their room or wherever. But there is not that much understanding and the importance of gathering, to be together. So I think what Baba is saying, that any one thought in the gathering, right, all together, can have a very powerful impact. So I remember most of the Dadis, they loved gathering. They won't just sit alone. Until, maybe something, a situation happens or they couldn't be there. But I always saw, whether it was 7 o'clock meditation or it was Amrit Vela, Dadi Prakashmani every morning in the history hall will come and sit together. And then in the end, many of us will go and say good morning to Dadi. They were very much present. They were very much visible. And that should be aim for all of us, right? So, Baba is saying soul consciousness in the gathering. When an atom bomb explodes, somewhere its radiation spreads everywhere. Those who get killed is different, but after effects are also very bad. That is an atom bomb, and this is a soul conscious bomb. So we also have bombs, right? Are our bombs ready? So Baba is saying that that is an atom bomb and this is a soul conscious bomb. Its influence will attract many souls, and then the number of people, Baba is saying that number of the people coming will easily increase, number of people. Therefore, increase the practice of soul consciousness in the gathering. How many of you taking this thought, determination to be meditating together? Can I see hands? Very good, yeah. It's important, right? Therefore, increase the practice of soul consciousness in the gathering, become an embodiment of awareness, and the atmosphere will become very, very powerful. So, doing yoga is service, right? Creating atmosphere. But in gathering, it will do much more, right? Not only bringing souls, but creating atmosphere. Remember that once Dadi Prakashmani, there was a big program I think it was in Delhi, in Vigyan Bhavan. So they wanted President to come or Prime Minister to come. And we were not getting even appointment to give the invitation. So Dadi said, in the evening we all will have collective meditation. So we all were sitting. Within half an hour we got a call for the appointment. So Dadi said, oh, let's go to Delhi, we have to go immediately. But how, when there is one thought, collective, the effect on whether one soul or many souls will be great. So I think that's how, whenever you have a program, then before that program, to have collective meditation will be very, very, so that whatever effort we make, the reward is multiple, lot of success, lot of souls. And so next time when you will do this hall will be full when you have public program, right? Otherwise we advertise, we give flyers, we put flyers in different places. But what is important to do now is soul consciousness in the gathering. Is it clear? Yeah? That's what we will do everywhere. Okay? So, you had been listening to Murli, you had been listening to classes by Sister Jayanti. There was one special class for a Vyakti Parivar, right?
Om Shanti. So we want to welcome both Didis. Let's wave our one hand to welcome both of them. This is the great scene in drama to see both of them together. So happy, Didis. Thank you. So today, actually, our Dadis, when they used to meet, they used to have very sweet conversation and we used to just watch them. And today we want to watch both of you, how you can do conversation amongst yourself.
What I thought, and we had been listening to classes, knowledge, I would want all of us to know, which I know to a certain extent, not maybe fully, that what was the age when Sister Jayanti came in contact and then her journey at least up to the London. And then it will be very interesting if she can share then how did she decided to just be a BK and, some interesting, some of the stories if you can share with us, right? We are taking you back to your childhood.
Om Shanti. It's an honor and a privilege to share the stage with you, Didi. And yes, I've been listening to you, and we have the teachers' meetings, and that's been very, very powerful and beautiful, because since I think January it started. So every month, once a month, we meet together.
Yeah, on Zoom we have few thousand teachers from India.
There's a few thousand links, and then in some places they have the whole hall full. So it must be many, many thousands who listen.
One of the quality of Bhumi Ben is to connect. She gets a lot of ideas, and they work some or other. Yeah.
So I've been listening to Didi's deep.
If you can lift maybe a little bit towards you, closer. Yeah.
So Didi's been sharing very deep insights into the different signals that we get each month, the different topics. So that's been very beautiful. And today Didi's asking about how I came to Baba. Dadi
You
Janki,
lived in Pune, right?
Yeah. We lived
Pune is
in,
near Bombay, right? Maharashtra.
and Baba had put Dadi Janki in Pune. And in fact, many used to say to Dadi, Dadi, why are you in such a small town? Now Pune has become an IT hub, so it's not a small town anymore. At that time, it was a small university town. And Baba had said to Dadi, people will pull you in many directions, but you just tell them, I'm going to stay here till Baba tells me to move somewhere else. And so, although there were many pulls, Dadi continued to stay there. And it's interesting because many of the souls that Dadi was serving in Pune had connections abroad, and then they became instruments to start service abroad also. So Baba truly is the one who sees the past, present, and future. So this is January 1957 when Dadi was there, and my grandfather had helped Dadi at one point. So when she heard that he was unwell, she came to visit him. And I was 7 years old and I was running around. But my mother and grandmother were actually listening to Dadi, and they became BKs very quickly. And then the next thing that I remember distinctly is that when it was my 8th birthday, Dadi had a celebration at the center for my birthday. So, just a child. And then in the summer holidays, because April and May are summer holidays there, we used to play in the garden, which was my aunt's garden just near the center. Here was the center, and behind that was my auntie's house and the garden there. And the center was too small for children to run around. So we used to have class in the garden. And Dadi would sometimes come, give us tolis, sometimes come and give us little gifts. And sometimes we had quizzes, all sorts of things. So there was another sister staying with Dadi, but it was Dadi I remember so distinctly. And then
So how was Dadi's connection with children like?
Very, very sweet, very loving, a real mother.
She will feed or give toli?
She would give toli, but sometimes if the class went on a little bit longer, so it became like 12 o'clock, normally it should be from 10 to 11:30, but sometimes it went on till 12. And so then she would bring some food. The center was just there, and she would give us all a little bit to eat. There were about 8-10 of us. And
Because one of her favorite thing was toli, right? Food and toli.
yes.
Why it is so important?
it brings souls so much closer. You know, if you feed somebody, then they come very close to you.
It has also connection with the relationships. Right? When you feed Toli, feed the food.
The food definitely impacts the intellect also. In India they say, Jasa
But is it our
Anvesa.
intention that we feed because of that, or there is some other feeling?
Good question.
No, because I give Toli because I want you to belong to me. Or there is some higher consciousness at that time.
I think if you wanted them to belong to you, it would cause bondages and problems. But you want them to belong to God. And
One thing, when Dadi came to New York, we were very new at UN, and there was a big conference. They were expecting 700-800 people. And Dadi said, we want to give Toli. So I said, at UN, Toli? Oh, we will take these containers. And, like we were kind of hesitant for her to sit or stand and start giving Toli. But one thing she used to say, which I really admired, is God's Bandara. And even one grain which is given to someone, so it's not only for me that I eat Brahma Bhojan or we Brahmins eat Brahma Bhojan, but from Baba's Bandara, there should be maximum number of souls who should get a little grain, So her bhavna was so much higher. And I think that we said, okay, we will make 800 Toli. So she will sit on the chair. People are coming out from the conference. And we had to divert them to say that, like there is a woman sitting and wants to give you something. We didn't know how to deal with people. And then, of course, fulfill Dadi's desire. But the way she says that is Baba's Bandara, so everyone should get. And of course it will have impact of whatever bhavna, purity, love, whatever. So that's all.
So when they get food from Baba's Bandara, their intellect becomes a little bit more clean. And so they're able to come closer to God, definitely. My father...
So should we offer bhog of the Toli too, before we share with people? Yeah? Toli should be put in the bhog? Huh? It should be offered. Because otherwise...
They always offer, Didi. We always offer Toli.
Okay, very good.
Yes, whatever is cooked in Baba's house, whether it's toli or biscuits or cakes, it's first offered to Baba. The food is always offered, but anything extra like that also is offered to Baba.
When we were in London, Jantiben's mother, her name was Rajni Ben. We used to call her. She was in London and she will share a story, but every Wednesday she will go to market. Whatever is the new fruit, she will always buy and to offer bhog to Baba. And then they will bring it home. They never, like if you see a new fruit, you just buy it. But she will buy for Baba's bhog. I still remember that. Importance, of this also. Okay, then what happened then?
So yes, Dadi used to feed the children, and later on...
When did you start relating to knowledge, like understanding?
That's when I was 18.
18?
Yeah, because then we went abroad.
So you were just connected, love.
It was love. And yes, my mother used to read to us a little passage of the Murli. We didn't have blessings and slogans and all of this, because it was directly what Baba was speaking. So every Monday morning, we would get a packet of the Murli post, and it was quite thick. When the letter comes through, you don't hear it.
Didi, which year you went to London?
That same year, 1957. And so Rajniben had been in Guyana just since about a year. But then December, before that in October, we went to Delhi to meet Baba. because my father came back from Africa in September, and he saw his young, beautiful wife. She was 25 years old, and when she was young, she was very beautiful. And so she wanted to be celibate. She had become vegetarian. So on the one side, he wanted the family to be together, so he had planned for the family to go to Africa, to London. He couldn't have children in Africa, malaria,
So
yellow
you
fever.
came to London with parents.
Yeah.
You have other brothers, sisters?
Didi is the interviewer today.
No, we want to all know more now. You have a brother. Right?
I have a younger brother, yes.
He's in Canada now, right?
He lives between Canada and Germany now. So part-time Canada, part-time Germany. He lived in
Okay, so
Philadelphia.
you all came to London with parents, right?
Yeah, so that was December 1957.
So your mother was in Guyana, right?
She was absolutely strong Pakka Brahmin, very firm. So she was already in the system of Amrit Vela Yoga and getting the Muralis. The Muralis used to come directly from Madhuban, and so she was on that list. And then she would read the Murali herself, of course, every day, but at night she would sit with my brother and me and read us a short passage. But we didn't really understand. And so we were listening. And then after a few years, by the time I was 12, I said to my mother, I think it's more important I listen to the news at 9 o'clock. And she was very sensible, and she knew that if you push children in a particular way, they probably react and go the opposite way. But
so what year the delegation came and stayed in London with you?
that was in 1971. By then I had come into Guyana. So I came into Guyana in 1968, April. And Baba was Sakar. So after 6 weeks of studying Gyan,
You met Baba when?
many times, because I
No,
met,
but when was first time?
first time was
in Mount Abu?
first was Delhi, Rajuri Garden, 1957. It was Diwali time, and so we met Baba in Delhi before going to London. Baba, Mama, Dadi Nirma Shanta, all the Dadis. And then we came to India in 64 and met Mama again then. She was in Bombay, but I wasn't interested to go to Abu, but Rajni Ben went to Madhuban. And then in 66 we came again to India, and that's when I went to Madhuban for the first time. And that's when Baba said to me, she's going to be a spiritual teacher. So 66 I was in my skirt with short hair, but Baba doesn't look at external things. Baba looks at the soul and could see the future. I was 15 at that time. And then 67, again we came to India and again went to Madhuban. And then 68, I came to stay in India for an extended time because that's when I started university, but I wanted to stay in India to get to know my roots. And so
when your father gave you leave, how did he said? How did it help you to come out?
So after 6 weeks of Gyan, I decided I wanted to be a surrendered BK. I told Dadi, and she was very surprised, but she said, write to Baba. I wrote a letter to Baba. This would have been mid-May. And next day, Baba sent a telegram. So I got a reply by telegram from Baba, in which Baba said, Janak is coming soon. Come with her, we talk personally. So Baba wasn't going to give me a reply.
I want to be a BK, that means
surrendered. Yeah. So we were in Abu, and then we met with Baba, and my mother, Baba and myself in the hut, and Baba in the garden. And Baba said, child, what do you want to say? I said, Baba, I want to surrender. And Baba looked at me, looked at my mother, and Baba said, I knew it already. And then I remembered that scene in 1966 when Baba had said this. And then my mother said to Baba, "But Baba, can't you stay at home and do service from home? When I wanted to surrender, you told me I have to stay at home and do service from home." Baba's answer was very interesting. Baba said, "You already had karmic bondages, so you had to stay home to settle your karmic bondages. She has no karmic bondages. She is free, so she can stay at the center." And my mother didn't say anything, but of course she was not very happy thinking.
Your father was not in Guyana.
My father was
So
not
what was
in
his
Guyana.
reaction?
Baba said to me afterwards, "Get a letter from your
So
father."
you start wearing sari already?
No, I was still, by then I was in churidar. I was churidar kameez.
Punjabi dress.
Yeah. And at that time, Baba said, "Get a letter from your father giving you permission to stay at the center." I said to Baba, "Baba, he's not going to give a letter." Baba said, "No, he's a good child. He will give you a letter." So I wrote to my father, and my father was very clever. He writes back saying that, "Yes, if you want, you can stay at the center, but also you have relatives in Singapore, you have relatives in Hong Kong, you have relatives in Spain. Why don't you go and travel and be with them?" But I wasn't interested in travel. I wanted to be with Baba. And so he gave permission, but thinking that within a short time I'd get bored. But of course that never happened. But I had his permission to come and stay.
So he allowed you to wear sari or what?
Instantly, because then, not in Pune, but I came to Abu with a suitcase of white saris and blouses, and so then from the time I came to Abu that year, it was then October 68.
No, but I heard you shared out from somewhere that your father said if you have to wear sari, you can't stay here.
That's when Avyakt Baba sent me back home, because Baba became Avyakt, and my father had given permission because he knew Brahma Baba, and my grandfather and Brahma Baba were cousins, so he knew the family and had a lot of respect for Baba, and he had a lot of respect for Dadi Janki also. And then when Avyakt Baba said to me, "I have to go back to London," I wrote to my father, yes, because he was very concerned. If the founder goes, then there's a struggle for money and power. And so he thought that, well, I don't know how long the Brahma Kumaris are going to last now without their founder. He didn't have Gyan. And so he was writing, come back, come back. And Dadi said to me, yes, you have to go. I said, but Dadi, there's no service there. She said, I said to Dadi, there's only Maya. And she said, no, I see thousands. But I still wasn't convinced. Then Avyakt Baba said to me, you have to go. Now I couldn't refuse Baba. So then I wrote to my father that I'm coming, but I'll be coming just with my white clothes. And he said that, come, then let's see. And he was, when he saw me at the airport with these clothes, in India you would say these are widow's clothes. And I was 19. And so he was very shocked. And then he said that, how can you stay home in these clothes? I said, well, that's okay, I can go back to India. But I stayed on because the Dadis also were saying I should. So that's when, living in London in my parents' home, I was writing letters to this one, that one, and the other one, and not getting positive responses. Because yoga had started abroad. This was by then 1969. And so Hatha yoga was prevalent, not Raj yoga. And then there were lots of yoga schools, and I would write to them and say, can I come and meet you? So Rajni Ben and myself would go, and they'd say, what are you going to tell us? And I'd say soul and God and Raj yoga and union. And they'd say, okay, thank you very much, we'll let you know. But that meant no, basically. Why? Because they all believed in omnipresence. And I wasn't smart enough at that time to be able to explain to them much detail about omnipresence. I'd only been in Guyana a year and 2 months, but so there were no results coming from knocking on various doors. And then I wrote to Dadi Prakashmani. She'd said, write to me in English. She used to read English. And I think Rosie Ben must have been in Madhuban, because she then sent me a reply in English. And there was, Nireb Bhai wasn't yet in Madhuban, he came later. But so at that time, still 69 August, and Dadi writes to me through Rosie Ben, even though there isn't service outside, there's always self-service. And I took that very seriously. Then I made a timetable for myself, every 2 hours, 30 minutes yoga. And I used to keep a chart of soul consciousness. And so then I wasn't worried about service, no service, but and I stopped missing India in that way. Baba kept me entertained with Gyan and yoga, and I also made a timetable for myself to be writing articles, giving myself a subject. And what I found, every time I finished an article, it would take me a few days, not just once. Every time I finished an article, my intellect was filled with that subject. There would be a call from one of the temples or somebody who was having a gathering at their home, and whatever I'd written was in my head, so I'd have a subject to talk about. So the lesson is, if you prepare yourself, there'll always be an opportunity to use that preparation for service.
So you didn't want it to come to London, right?
No.
She said, I will only go if Dadi Janki goes.
That was when, okay,
no,
so...
some or other, it's like Dr. Nimla was there, no one was there.
Yeah.
That's how I kind of went there to be with Dr. Nimla.
So
and then you and Dadi came.
Yeah. So 71, the delegation came, 5 of them stayed in our home. And then there was a lot of connections and good service. By then, the Spiritualist Association of Great Britain had opened its doors, because the person who was a secretary there, the Secretary General, he'd had a vision of God as light. So when I was showing him the exhibition pictures, he immediately offered us 4 lectures, once a week, every week, at the SAGB. I think you must have also given lectures there.
You know, there was in Britain when there was a place called
Spiritualist Association,
where we used to go for talks.
Yeah, right? SAGB. Yeah. So we used to go for regular talks there. But that person, he'd had a year of silence. And at the end of that year, he'd had a vision of God. And because of that, he was agreeing to whatever it is we were saying. We asked for 1 lecture and he gave us 4. Then after the 4 had finished, he gave us more. And that's where the first exhibition outside Bharat also took place. It was there at the SAGB where they had their bookstore. And the delegation, when they had the exhibition there, they would take turns to go there. And we had 2 brothers there, Jagdish Bhai and Ramesh Bhai. And Hyde Park is a very famous place where people go for walks, etc. And it was the summer months, and they went once, and then they came back and they said, we don't want to go there again. And we were very curious what happened. And then they didn't say anything to me, but they must have told Dadi Shilendra. Dadi Shilendra was with the delegation. And what happened was that people were sunbathing. And you can imagine the scene. And they said, we don't want to go there. And if you want to have sisters go there, that's fine. But they were very sensible, and so they didn't go to Hyde Park anymore. But then the center started, and Dr. Nirmala was there. And Dr. Nirmala then had invitations to Africa. The Uganda crisis hadn't yet happened, so Africa was still quite safe. And so Gujarati people there in London had told her, you must go and give talks in the temple, so they organized everything. So she went to Uganda and Kenya, so a little bit of service was done there. Then she came back to India, and then Dadi Ratan Mohini came. And Dadi Ratan Mohini was there from September 72 till December 73. So she stayed about 15 months. And again with her, the class became strong. Shashi Ben, Shushil Bhai, Vishnu Bhai, Dulari Ben, these were the people she had as students. And so she was happy to be there because then she created the first class properly.
Didi, all this was in your home?
No, a center had started by then.
When was that, Didi? When was it started?
71. 71 the delegation came, then 71 October we found a place.
Two small rooms, very little.
Tiny.
Tiny.
This stage is bigger.
Tennessee Road, 98.
Tennessee Road. Yeah.
98, yeah.
98. Didi remembers.
So Didi, you were in London from 69 and 70, 71, all that years you were there, right?
Yeah. And then 73 September, I said, enough is enough, I'm going to India. And so I came back. So Dadi Ratan Mohini always used to tease me, you left me alone. But by then there was a nice class, so she had people there, so I was confident that there would be translators or people to drive her here and there, so it was okay. But she used to tease me, you left me alone. And then that same year, 73, was the Ram Leela ground and the big Mela, and that was Delhi. And then Ramesh Bhai wanted the same Mela to come to Bombay, Cross Maidan by Church Gate. So when Dadi Ratan Mohini heard that this big Mela was happening in Bombay, and she was from Bombay, she said, okay, enough is enough, now I'm going. So she came back. And so, yes, the center was first.
So from where Dr. Nimla came? Africa?
She came first from San Francisco. She had been with the first delegation, and Madhuban asked her to come back to London. So she left the tour and the delegation and came to London. Then she went to Africa and India. Then when she came back second time, because Dadi Ratan Mohini had left, she came from India. Dadiji Baba sent her. And then when Didi came and she saw that in London there's just this tiny little place and no students, they were coming in the evenings but not in the mornings. So then you can tell your part of the story.
That's okay. Then I came.
Yeah. That's right.
And then I wrote to Madhuban and I told Didi, because we were lost now, we didn't know. Whatever we were, that time there was a class in Leicester started, there was a class in Hounslow started.
Yeah.
So there were different classes. So we used to go and in bus, not knowing they will we go from here, they will receive us there, and a lot of new things happen, but then I wrote to Madhuban, I said, I think we need a Dadi here. And immediately Didi accepted and asked Dadi Janki, because Dadi Janki had connection with a lot of mothers from different foreign countries. So then Jayanti Ben and Dadi both came. Right? So we were four together. Little place, but we were four. Then Ramesh Bhai wanted to come. Lot of visitors at that time.
There was a big exhibition that was organized in Oxford Street and Regent Street. These are the main places like Connaught Place in Delhi. So really central. And I'd organized that before going to India, because you book places at least a year ahead. So they were there. So then Ramesh Bhai, Usha Ben came. And yes, we were all of us together in that tiny little place.
Because you generally get visa for 6 months. So my 6 months finished, so I came back to India.
You went to Canada?
And then I went to Canada.
Yeah, from London you went to Canada and then
from
New
India,
York.
Then I went to Canada. And then from Canada to US and then all over.
And then 75, December, I was in Guyana, and you were in New York, and so Dadi was
76, I went to Guyana, Caribbean.
yeah. So I came and stayed with you. You were staying with Atmaram Bhai, and I stayed with you there for one night before going on to Guyana.
We were in the midtown because his father was visa consul general, whatever, in the embassy. Right? So, okay, any funny thing you found or anything you want to? Just the last part.
Then when I was in Guyana, I had to come back to London, and there was another sister with me, a Gujarati sister, Lata, from Surat. But she wanted to go back to Surat, and I had to come back to London for all sorts of business, Baba's business. And so I wrote to Dadi ji and Didi. Didi was around. You must send Didi Mohini. And they said, why? I said, because, the people who are coming here are very high level, and the minister's wife is a daily student, Auntie Betty, and the minister himself comes from time to time. So
and the Pandits were also in opposition, Mahasabha, right?
That's right. So I said, it needs somebody like Didi Mohini who can make them into Brahmins. And so Didi sent Mohini Didi there.
No, so Dadi Janki told me. Dadi Janki had one thing, because service was not happening much. So when the lunch was ready, we all will sit, I think it was a small room, and every time she will say, go to Baba, offer bhog, knock his door and ask what should we do. We are so many of us, but we don't know what to do, So then Baba is directly telling me, you go to Guyana. And what they're saying, it's a small country. I was more used to Delhi and, big service. But then we came to know it was very important. So 3 years I stayed in Caribbean, in different countries, mostly in Guyana, Trinidad, Suriname, Barbados.
Yes.
And then Sister Emlata came. Okay, so
Jayanti Didi, we want to know, how did you end up in Guyana? How did you go to from London to Guyana? What was the reason?
They had there was a woman who came. Actually, it was the SAGB again. It was this Indian-looking woman, but she was in a dress, and I was thinking, how come? How come she's not in a sari? Because you don't see unless you're Christian. But anyway, so after the program, at the lecture, the SAGB, she came to me saying, I'm from the Caribbean Hindu Society. Then I understood that that's why she's in a dress. And then she said, I want to come and talk to you. So she came to my parents' home and we had a chat. And she said, I'd like you to go to Guyana. The women there should have spiritual teachings from India. And I said, okay, I'll share your message with the seniors and let's see. And this is before the delegation had come. There wasn't a center yet. So then when the delegation came, I told them there's an invitation from Guyana. And they said that, well, our ticket is fixed. And, when you do a round-the-world tour ticket, Guyana doesn't come on that. So they said, no, we can't go this time. Let's see later. And then this lady asked me to do a lecture on Holi, because I didn't know at the time, but Holi is the big festival in Guyana, almost like Diwali. And they call it Pagwa. So, so I was there at the Caribbean Hindu Center, and I had no idea of the bhakti meaning of
But
Holi.
when they went, that's where Auntie hosted them.
Yeah.
Didi, 1 minute. ये लंदन का सुनने दीजिए ना.
So there's one step in between, then Auntie hosted me. But at that time then, I had to ask my mother, what is Holi? And so she told me what she knew. And then she pulled out some, in those days, it was called Gyan Amrit or Trimurti. It was called Trimurti magazine. So she used to keep all those magazines. So she pulled out a Trimurti magazine. We didn't have Google. So, so out of that, I understood a little bit more about the Holi. Then I gave this lecture at the Hindu Caribbean Society. And people were so surprised. I was by then 20, 21, something like that, very young. And so they were very surprised to see a young Indian woman in a white sari talk about Holi, giving this spiritual explanation of Holi. Until then, they just heard the story of Holi, that's it. And there was a Pandit sitting there. And this Pandit came to me and said, Beti, he was 70s, I was 20, and he said, Beti, I want you to come to Guyana. So I kept getting this invitation, and I kept thinking that somebody senior should go. If it's a new country, it has to be someone senior. Then, so every year he'd come, every year he'd ask me. Then the delegation said no, I didn't know who else to ask. Then when I was with Dadi in 74, Dadi came to London, then she pulled me along. Then at that time, this Pandit had again come, Pandit Deen Dayal, and he said to Dadi, and that was the year of women, the first year that the UN was honoring.
76.
And so again, that thing that the women in Guyana need to be liberated. And so then Dadi said in front of him, you go. I said, Dadi, someone like Jagdish Pai should go, someone senior should go. She said, no, you go. And so then he went back, and I was corresponding with him, and then he gave the invitation from the Mahasabha. And whenever it was gurus and whoever who came, then Auntie Betty used to host them. So then he asked Auntie
Gayatri's
Betty,
mother.
Gayatri's mother. And so that's...
Because they thought to keep on an Indian home, these sisters will be comfortable.
Yeah.
They chose auntie, uncle.
But
she was also in the executive of the Mahasabha.
So how did Lata connected you and went with you in Guyana?
The invitation was just for one person. And so Dadi said, there should be somebody else with you. I said, Dadi, let me go there and see what the conditions are. We've no idea. And so let me go and see, then I'll call you and then we can decide. And then when I saw that Auntie Betty arranged for me to stay with her sister, because their home was a political home. You had guards on duty outside, downstairs, and
because
so on.
Because uncle was minister for
and
housing and few other...
Yeah. And so her sister, Auntie Rati, she had a beautiful home in a lovely place. And they gave me the whole space upstairs with a private kitchen. There was a private kitchen new that they didn't use. They were doing their cooking downstairs.
That is where the Bichu, from she's in Canada.
So
they all came in Guyana.
Bichu's mother. So I stayed there. Then I phoned Dadi and I said, Dadi, there's a lovely place, enough place, very comfortable for a second sister. So Lata came then. She was in London already, but from London then she came.
So Didi, if you would have accepted the invitation in 70s, they would have gotten 5 years more, no? In Guyana.
But that's okay. But that's okay because Dadi Gulzar came to their home, and it was a very tiny center. But then Dadi Gulzar invited them to come to Madhuban, and Baba came specially for the family because they came in August time, monsoon season.
In Baba's room.
So Baba came to meet them. So everything was perfect according to drama. But I remember when Didi came, we'd organized a retreat. I'd never heard of retreats until then, but the Roman Catholics, the Catholics used to have retreats.
Yeah,
and
it was one of the Auntie Sati, right?
Yeah.
And then Lata and they called all the people to introduce me, that now we will be there. It was wood fire. And they cook for 60 people on the wood fire outside. I didn't know Jayantiben could cook, but she really, we were together in Washington, many places in the beginning, but she cooks very good. Used to cook very good.
Used to. I won't cook for a long time now. But
Dadi Janki used to say, one who can sleep on the floor and know how to cook can go to foreign country. We had to do everything in the beginning. Right?
Mohini Didi, did you see her in her frock and short hair? No?
no.
Do you want to see? Go ahead.
You have?
We have nice photos.
Really?
Yes. Oh, 1 second. We need the projector down. Hold on.
No, this isn't me. This is Jyoti.
This
This
is
Jyoti,
not me.
her friend.
Oh.
Mistake.
We have another one. This one?
Yes, that's me.
That's it. So, who is next to Baba?
My mother, Rajni Ben, and my grandmother.
Oh, okay.
And Baba called her Bhabi because she was, my grandfather was one of 7 brothers and they all lived together. And when Baba talks in the Murli about I go to a family and I used to see them like milk and sugar, it's this family.
Oh,
because Baba was the cousin, so Baba would come there and all the brides of the house, 7 brides would line up to bow to him and he would put his hand on their head and give blessings. And then one day he comes in and they line up the same way, but he lifts them by the shoulder, the first one, and says, no, you mustn't do this anymore. You're a soul, I'm a soul. And so we mustn't do this. And so they were very surprised. My grandmother told me that story. So when Baba...
Only one photo?
No, so this is 3 generations together with Baba, right?
Yeah.
And
I'm
now
down
this.
there, and 2 Kumaris from Pune who've disappeared, and Dadi Bridge Shanta, Dadi Shilendra, Baba, my grandmother, my mother, and behind is Lachu Dadi.
Wow, they have everything.
So how is the cousin, Brahma Baba and your...
My grandfather.
So
They were
their
cousins.
mothers were sisters or?
I don't even know that.
Last one.
Short hair.
So this was which year, Didi?
1966.
This is 66. And you met Mama also, Didi? Also?
Yeah.
In which year? 60?
1957 and then 1964. Yeah.
And this
This
one?
is the first visit, 1977 in London. I don't remember who those 3 people at the back are.
Didi, Mohini Didi, you want to, no, sorry, Jayanti Didi, you want to ask something to Didi? Or
She already did some. We had good chat and it was very interesting. Sometimes good to know the story of Didi's, right? So she did very well.
But it
Did
was...
you all enjoy?
Yes.
Any one of you have any questions?
Many questions.
But it was amazing. Didi leaving a big center in India, in Delhi. It was the biggest center after Madhuban, that one. Even Pandapavan came later. So big center, beautiful center in South Extension. And coming to Germany, where she stayed in a brother's flat with, that must be another story. But she was the one who planted the seed in Germany, and then coming to London and seeing the whole center that we had could fit onto half the stage. That's how tiny that ground floor flat was. Then we later got the whole house, and we got the house next door. But we started from that
Then
little...
they said that you have to also sweep outside, right? Now I have come from, I used to love gardening, I will water all that, but not sweep. So anyway, Dr. Nimla and I said, no, we didn't have vacuum cleaner. We had a small brush. So I said, you will do sitting job, I will do standing. So I will mop, I like to mop, and also to wash pots. And so she used to make very nice roti, Gujarati roti. I will make sabji and rice. So we cooked, and then Dadi Janki came a great cook. Right, so when I cooked, I thought very good. A little more salt, little more sugar, little more sour. I said, you cook it because because it's Sindhi style she wanted. So we had good time together in a way. A lot of rules, regulation. 4 o'clock, everyone has to come. And Rajni, her mother will bring a big pot of tea. Dadi didn't like everyone to go and make their own tea. That's one thing, no? You want to make your own tea. She said, no. Big teapot and everyone will get tea. And she used to get notes from Madhuban. And we all have to be there, drink tea. She will read notes. She will sustain us a lot because we were not busy, so something has to be done. So it was good time together, and two of us, we never had any difficulty because we were together in Caribbean, then in USA also.
Tampa,
there was an invitation from
Tampa,
Washington.
Miami
we were.
and
When was your first meeting? When did you all meet first time?
I think in Delhi.
yeah.
Baba sent her because she will speak English now.
Which year?
So Baba, I think
68. 68.
68.
Because when I surrendered, then Baba sent me with Didi on tour. And so we first stopped in Jaipur, then we came to Delhi, and then she took me to Agra. And it was amazing to be with Didi. Didi was already quite aged, but there's the overnight train to Jaipur. We arrive in Jaipur in the morning, 4 o'clock. That train still is the same. 11 p.m. you leave, 4 a.m. you arrive. And we went to the center, and Didi just took a quick shower, and she starts giving class. And I was so surprised. Didi's quite mature in age already, but so active. And then Delhi, and then she took me to the different centers.
Yeah.
Did you feel when you met each other that we will have a long-term journey together?
No, I didn't realize that. I thought I was going to stay in India forever. I never wanted to come abroad.
I think we will have to do part 2 sometime. In India.
I'll be in Manhattan.
Jayanti, they did leaving in the morning.
In India, they will be together again, so we'll do it from there. Yeah.
Okay. Now I think we have to say good night, right?
Yeah.
Thank you very much. This was so wonderful.
So you will take leave because you're leaving early in the morning, right?
Yes. Leaving in the morning. So thank you. It's been beautiful to be here. And it was interesting to see the seasons change. I arrived in a heat wave, and the next day from 96 degrees, it came to 63 degrees overnight. And then it came back again to the heat. But the group was very, very nice, and they really appreciated the atmosphere and Didi and all the Sevadharis. You didn't hear them, but they were commenting on how much they'd taken from all of you also. It was very good. But all of them were ready for meditation. All of them were ready to... one of them said, and normally we don't talk about the cycle with new people, But because they were all talking about the darkness and what's going to come, all of them came very, very heavy because of the conditions. And so then Judy and I said, I think we should tell them about the cycles. So we talked about the cycle. And then one brother who's actually from Iran, and his mother, he was trying to contact his mother, and he, for one full day, 24 hours, he couldn't contact. Then he was able to make connection. Then he spoke to her outside here, and she was safe, so he felt comfortable. But today, when we were finishing and they were giving feedback, he said, knowing the cycle gave me hope and comfort. Now, a new person, you hear the cycle, and you have hope for the future and comfort. First time I've heard somebody say that. Brahmins, of course, we say that. But it was a first time exposure to Brahma Kumari's, Roberta's son-in-law. Now one.
Many came, her husband.
Yeah. Her husband, 2 daughters, their partners.
Investigator, detective investigator.
Maybe yesterday's experience.
Gee?
Place.
Yes. Yesterday, Ram Prakash Bhai organized us, for all of us to go to the extension, I'll call it the extension of Peace Village, and everything was cleaned where they have the big hall, and there was a lovely circle of lights with angels and lights and everything set up beautifully, and we all walked there, and we had meditation for 10 minutes, and
all
then
of you went.
All of us went. And they'd set it up beautifully with chairs and everything. And Dorothy represented Peace Village. Annabelle had organized the decoration. And at the end of the meditation, we had the harp music. Is Kyoko here? Okay, so we had the harp music there also for the meditation. And then everybody shared a blessing. And we've got those blessings. And the Indian Hopi guy who had come, we just asked him to do a blessing. But he started some Indian chanting. And his voice was so strong,
native Indian.
so powerful. And we couldn't understand what he was saying, but it was very powerful. And then we asked him afterwards, what was that? Was that a blessing? And he said, yes, it was a blessing.
It's really a fortunate place because so many from all over Madhuban, they came and guests, and every retreat they take them. It's very, very fortunate. Yeah.
But it was really a very nice atmosphere. And then we walked back and they continued because it was their silence day. So that's why they were already, we walked in silence and then came back, and then they had their debrief here.
It's the town, no? They are also so happy to see gradually.
It was good because there were 3 of us in Sari, I think myself and Gayatri and Alicia, and we were walking there, and a car was coming the other way on that main road, and they stopped for us because they saw this big procession. And then, because they saw us in white saris, the driver went like this, an Indian family. So we did a peace march. Yeah.
Okay, right.
Feels like we want to just be here sitting whole night.
I think it's time to say Om
I know.
Shanti.
Just feeling like that. The time passed by so fast. Anyway, thank you so much, and we hope we will get part 2 soon.
Well, I want to thank Didi for being the interviewer tonight. Usually she's the one who's being interviewed.
We want to show you one photo. Sure. It was showing, no? Not that, Baba. Didi? So sweet. So this is the perfect
a
picture
young
together.
Didi.
It feels like both of you are sitting with Bab Dada and having such a
It seems as if it was an Om Shanti
Om
Bhavan, I
Shanti
think.
Bhavan. Yes.
That's Dadi ji sitting beside Baba.
Right. Thank you so much. And
Thank
now,
you to you.
Thank you. So this time, of course, Mohini Didi is going to Madhuban soon in August, but Jayanti Didi is going even before that. So we will be having great time in Madhuban together.
I'll be there to welcome Didi.
Yes.
What date
And
you leaving? 6th?
I leave on the 6th, but I have a day in Delhi to see Brijmohan Bhai. Then I'll arrive in Abu on the 8th.
And this will be a great scene in drama that both Didis will be in Madhuban together for Rakhi. I don't think so it ever happened before, right? So of course it will be nice. So we look forward for that. And